3, 2, 1, 0.
Folks, welcome. It's 7 o'clock. It's Monday night, which means it's time for Monday Night Nerd. Happy Mario Day to all of you out there. It is March 10th, 2025, which means it is woohoo Mario Day. And unfortunately, I am wearing Waluigi tonight because, well, our Mario hat is usually on top of our Christmas tree, so Mario is down with the Christmas decorations. So the closest one I had available was Waluigi. Hope you're all doing good. We're doing something different tonight on the podcast. I hope you guys are okay with this. We're going to be sharing a little bit because right now we are also live on TikTok. Hi, everybody on TikTok. My name is Myers Corp Cosplay. We are live tonight for the Monday Night Nerd podcast, episode 93, where we are going to be talking about volunteering at Comic-Con. Asking questions and answering stuff. So, hope you guys are doing. We are so close to episode 100 of the podcast, and we have got a lot to talk about. So, folks, let's jump right into the show. Tonight, we have got some fun news. If you are a Kiss fan, this is something that you might have some interest in if you have the dollar bills that can afford you it. Gene Simmons, bass player of Kiss, is going on tour this year. He is coming to Niagara Falls, which I would love to go see him. However, I have enough concerts. We will talk about that in a bit. And if you have the cash, you can become Gene Simmons' official roadie for the concert. Now, this is not something new that Mr. Simmons loves his money and loves giving back to his fans, and I've seen a lot of people on the rock and music scene talk about this and the price of it and what you get, and I wanted to break this down because I spent $5,000 on Metallica tickets that'll be coming up next month, and I got the whole backstage experience and all that, so I kind of did something similar, but this is a little more expensive. So I'm going to share it on the podcast so you guys watching on YouTube can see what is actually you get for this. So we're going to Gene Simmons' website. So you've got the ultimate Gene Simmons experience. So let me pull this up here. You will be Gene's personal assistant and band roadie for the day. So this is what you get in the package. You get to meet Gene Simmons and the Gene Simmons band members early in the day, either at his hotel or a designated location to go over the band's show day schedule. You will get to be on the Gene Simmons band team crew for the entire day, which means you will be part of the backstage crew. You will get a Gene Simmons band crew t-shirt and hat. You will also get a VIP laminate. You will have a meal with Gene Simmons at the hotel or backstage at the show. You will arrive and load in to the venue. Now, what does load in mean? Well, if you work for a band, they need to load in gear, they need to load in supplies, merchandise, and a whole lot of other stuff. So you're going to be part of that team. Do I honestly think that he is going to be using you as free labor and working you to the point of sweating? I highly doubt it. You will probably be helping move in the fun stuff like bass guitars or something like that. So I've seen a lot of people talk about this like, he's making you work for free or you're paying him. Chill. Let's talk about this a little more. You will hang out backstage. You will sit in on soundcheck. Gene Simmons will bring you on stage during the show and introduce you. You will get a set list signed by Gene Simmons. You can take photos throughout the entire experience. You can bring one other person, and you may bring 4 items for Gene to sign, no instruments, parts, etc. And you get a Gene Simmons Kiss rehearsal used bass signed by Gene Simmons for a total of $12,495, and I got a good suspicion that that's American and not Canadian. So let's talk about this because it is kind of sweeping the rock world and all of that. I don't think this is crazy. And let me explain before everyone's like, he just wants money and all that. Wait a second. I'm a Kiss fan. I grew up, Kiss was my first band. My mom is a big Kiss fan. My mom played Kiss 1,000 times when I was growing up. I am part of the Kiss army. I love Kiss. There are bigger fans than me who have loved them longer. There are probably thousands of times where Gene has run into members of the Kiss army and have said, I would pay to be your roadie. So, why not give it a shot? What out of all of that, besides the t-shirts, the laminates, the bases say they're Kiss used, which means they're probably from the last tour, what of this is costing Gene money? Nothing, basically. He's basically getting shirts made, which he's got to get made for the crew anyway, so he's probably ordering 5 more, and hats. It's not costing him a thing, and I say this anytime any of these bands do something like this and give out these promotions, and I saw a lot of people talk about with the Metallica thing, where I'm paying $5,000 for a ticket, I'm in the middle of the snake pit, I get to tour behind the scenes before the show starts, I get to meet 2 of the band members, and I completely understand that it's probably going to be Kirk and Rob, and I'm fine with that. Like, none of that is really costing the band money, and if you don't want to do it, you don't have to. And that's the part that I think people don't understand, is that these bands, they're just giving you the option because they understand that there is a hardcore fan out there or a hardcore millionaire who grew up with Kiss and is like, I will pay anything to be on Kiss's road crew, or now Gene's road crew. Gene might as well just say, why not give it a shot? If nobody buys it, no big deal. They didn't literally cost him nothing else. So I've seen so many people freaking out about this, being like, I can't believe he's charging so much. And I'm like, guys, nobody has to buy this. No one has to be like, you have to fork over 12,000, or in Canadian, it's probably closer to 15, to be backstage. It's just for people who want to. As Alex says in chat, it's the ultimate experience. The base is worth half that. Exactly. And that's the thing. You're getting a base. You're getting to meet Gene and not just, hi, click, walk away. You actually get to spend time with him. You get to have a meal with him. You get to spend time backstage with the road crew, who has probably been Gene's bass tech for decades. So you could pretty much sit there and just tell me everything about him. Like, this is all stuff that Gene fans and Kiss fans have been dying for decades. Like, for those who don't know, Kiss did a tour in the mid-90s called the Kiss Convention Tour, where they literally had conventions about Kiss, and Kiss showed up and just played songs, and they sold out across the nation. That's the Kiss fans. So I don't understand why everyone's like, I can't believe it. You don't have to go. You don't have to pay that much. I think tickets to see Gene and Niagara are like $50. So if you just want to go see him, just pay $50. Don't have to spend this. So it's just funny seeing the outrage of people when there's this offer on the table for those who want to pay for it. And if you don't. It's no big deal. But yeah, I think it's cool. I wouldn't pay that much. I don't have 12,000 laying around, or 15 because I'm Canadian. I barely had enough for 5 for Metallica. And that's because Metallica is my band. I can pretty much name every song they've ever done. But that's me. And I completely understand why people are like, that's way too much. Oh, by the way, folks, if you really listen to what I just said, you can bring a second. You can bring a guest. So split that in half. You're getting it for $6 if you get someone else to pitch in. So yeah, like there's so much outrage about this stuff, and it's not worth it. Who cares? Anyways, concert news. For those who've been following the podcast for a while, I greatly appreciate it. And we have talked recently about the amount of concerts and stuff I'm going to this year. I am going to Metallica in April. I am going to Disturbed in early April. I'm also going to Ninja Sex Party in April, which I'm super excited about. But we have now added another concert for later in the year, thankfully. I am now going with my wife to see Aqua. I'm so excited to see Aqua. I am a 90s kid at heart. I am a big metal fan, but I also grew up in the late 90s as a kid and grew up with the Backstreet Boys and NSYNC and Spice Girls and Aqua. And Aqua is coming to Hamilton, and I am so excited to say I'm going to see Aqua for the first time. Another band that has so many banging songs on one album, and I'm so excited to finally see them live because I know it's going to be a great concert. They could play pretty much any song and I will know it. So I'm really excited about that. I'm really excited to finally get to see them because when I was a kid, I never got to see those bands because I was a kid and I couldn't afford it. Now they're coming around again and I finally get to see them. So yeah, it's going to be pretty exciting. And Alex in chat says, stage played bass is selling for $12.5K. Proving my point that the bass itself, if you become not a fan of Gene, you can sell the bass later and make almost all your money back. So anyways, Lark Bark, welcome. I'm so glad you're back. Good afternoon. Hope you're doing well. So we talked about Gene and the roadie backstage thing you can get. We talked about Aqua. We are now going to talk about video games as we usually talk every show about video games a bit. We had finished Resident Evil 4, and I was super happy about it. I wanted to keep going and do a second playthrough of Resident Evil 4. However, I have decided to move on to another game, and I picked it up just before last week's episode. We talked about it during the Top Arcade Cabinets episode, and that is Mortal Kombat 1. Now, when it comes to Mortal Kombat is kind of what we talked about just now. Mortal Kombat is the Metallica of my video game love. I know tons of Mortal Kombat stuff. I have every Mortal Kombat game from 1 all the way to now Mortal Kombat 1. And I have pretty much bought every one day one. I have pretty much bought every single one that I've been able to since, I was able to buy things on my own. I pretty much bought every single Mortal Kombat day one. However, I bought Mortal Kombat 11 and I did not like it. I was not a fan of that game. That is one of the first ones that I really noticed the WBing of the Mortal Kombat series. If you don't understand what WBing means, Mortal Kombat, or NetherRealm Studios that makes the Mortal Kombat games, is owned by Warner Brothers. And Warner Brothers, as a company when it comes to video games, is very bad at micromanaging and microtransacting a lot of their content. You can see it in their Lego games. You can see it in their Lord of the Rings games. There's a lot of microtransactions. There's a lot of grinding in their games. It's kind of annoying. And I don't like that because I'm a diehard Mortal Kombat fan. And when I went into 11, I noticed so many bugs. And I noticed within about 4 hours of playing it, I kind of got bored of it, which is shocking because I loved the series. So when Mortal Kombat 1 was announced, and when Mortal Kombat 1's idea was announced, which is a redo of the entire universe, basically the storyline from 11 is Liu Kang, the main character of the Mortal Kombat franchise, basically becomes an elder god and rewrites the universe. He basically creates a brand new universe with all the same characters, but sort of different roles, different backgrounds, different origins, etc. So when I saw this was a complete rewrite of history for Mortal Kombat, I kind of went, I don't know about that. However, since playing Mortal Kombat 1, and I've put in probably 8-9 hours into it, I'm really enjoying it. And I'm talking about 8-9 hours, and I'm not even 50% through the story. I'm just playing through the towers and collecting. I'm really enjoying this way a lot better. They have really worked out their kinks. Now, is there still microtransactions? 100%. There is DLC characters, and tomorrow, the final DLC character, which is the T-1000 from Terminator. The trailer will drop for that. I get it. I'm just going to have to wait and get all the DLC later when the pack drops and drops in price. But the gameplay is actually really fun. I am pretty much rocking Johnny Cage, as I usually do with Mortal Kombat, because he is my favorite character. And in this version of Mortal Kombat, you have what is known as a cameo, which is sort of like a helper character that comes in every now and then when you need him. And that character is Stryker. If you know him from deep Mortal Kombat lore, he is from number 3. He's the NYPD officer. You've probably seen him in the blue and white t-shirt and the backwards ball cap. And I'm really enjoying it. I'm liking the gameplay. I'm liking the fighting. I'm liking the towers. There's these things called invasions, which you kind of just walk around a mini map and get into fights, which is actually more fun than I thought it was going to be. So far, I'm really liking Mortal Kombat 1, which, again, shocks me because I really thought this was probably going to be the part where I'm going, well, guess I'm not a Mortal Kombat fan anymore, because I've kind of been doing that a lot with my franchises. I loved Red Dead 1. I have not played Red Dead 2 because I was bored within the first 20 minutes. I know everyone says the snow part's the boring part, and I have to get through that. I just can't. Same with Borderlands. I'm a diehard Borderlands fan, but Borderlands prequel was meh. Borderlands 3 was meh. Tiny Tina was meh. I don't know about this new Borderlands that's coming out. So, I'm happy to say I'm still a Mortal Kombat fan, and I will keep you up to date on how much I am enjoying the Mortal Kombat 1 game so far. One more review, then we're going to talk about Comic-Con stuff, and then we're going to jump into the main event. Folks, I watched a really fun documentary last night, which I had been eyeballing for a while because I'm a kid of the 90s, and anyone who grew up in the 90s is well aware of the reputation of this show, and I want to see what this documentary is about. This is the Jerry Springer doc from Netflix. It is Fights, Camera, Action. And I was really looking forward to this because I thought we were going to get a very good, in-depth look behind the camera of what that show was, because that show has a lot of controversy. A lot of people point to it as kind of the downfall of what people will watch on TV and sort of what the internet in the early days would become, of the outrageousness and the craziness and people getting into fights all the time and people getting naked and stuff like that. So I grew up obviously watching the show as a kid, which I probably shouldn't, but I did. And I wanted to see what the behind the scenes were. It was okay. It was okay. Obviously, because Jerry Springer has unfortunately passed away recently, he is not interviewed in the doc. The doc pretty much centers around the producer of the show, which I cannot remember his name, and it doesn't really matter. You've probably seen him behind the little podium off to the side if you've ever watched the show. He's the guy with the beard and the black hair. And basically, what the documentary talks about is that this was kind of his show. He really wanted to bring the shock to TV. Jerry Springer back in the day was just a local news guy, and he wanted to do a talk show, and the talk show was kind of floundering. Really didn't have anything that stood out, so this guy decided, let's do something that pushes the envelope. They had brought the station that was hosting the show didn't really care about the show, so they pushed it to a 2 a.m. time slot. So the producers decided, well, if it's on at 2 a.m., let's kind of just do whatever we want because no one's watching anyways. And because of that, it blew up. It got a big audience because of the shock factor. It really doesn't delve too much into it. It's only 2 episodes. They're about 45 minutes each. They kind of just focus on how the show got started, the shock factor, how it started, and a couple key episodes that really blew it up into the spotlight. The first big episode, if you've never seen the show, they brought a bunch of Klansmen on the show, members of the KKK, and they brought in some other people who were part of a Jewish right-wing group, I believe. And that was the first time a fight started. So they talked about that and how everyone was like, oh, I can't believe it. And it was in the news and everything like that. The next episode that they really talked about, which I remember vividly seeing and not really understanding how controversial it is until I was older, and that was they brought in a man who had married a horse. And everyone was freaking out about that because of, the complications and what probably has happened, but that they don't talk about on the show. that is another episode that they talked about that was big. And then the last one, which I never knew about and actually was probably the most intriguing part, there was a triangle relationship. A man had married a woman, and they had divorced, and he was dating another girl, and then the ex-wife thought they were getting back together, and a blah blah blah. He ended up killing the ex-wife, and that I didn't know about. And that's probably the most crazy part of it, is the way that the show handles it. And I don't want to spoil it because you guys might watch it. The way that the show handles that is not the best. So yeah, it was okay. Like I said, I was kind of expecting a little more, but it just wasn't that great. It was okay. It was worth the 2 episodes. I think if they tried to push it more and didn't really delve into more about Jerry and more about the controversy and stuff that happens, it would kind of be even more boring. So 2 episodes is all right, but still, if you know the show, it's an interesting watch. If you have no idea about the show, have never watched it, you could probably skip it. It's nothing crazy. Comic-Con news, folks. It is the 10th of March, which means this weekend, up the street, and I mean up the street about 45 minutes away, Toronto Comic-Con is happening the 14th to the 16th. I will only be there on the 16th. I will not be there all weekend. This is the first con of the year, and because I get the premium ticket for Fan Expo, it gives me a free day the next year at Toronto Comic-Con, and I only get the Friday or the Sunday, so I will be there on the Sunday. I will be rocking the new and improved Gambit, and tomorrow, if you're on my socials on Instagram, I will be posting the first photos of the upgrade. I'm so happy with how it looks. I have a couple little tweaks to it, but everything should be good for Sunday. I will be rocking Gambit. I will be there with my buddy Sean, which I'm super excited about. Sean and I used to work at Toys R Us together, and back when we were working at Toys R Us, we would go to Fan Expo, and we had a blast. But life happens. People get busy. He hasn't been to a con in a while, and he was wanting to come, and I said, let's go together. It'll be super fun. So it will be a lot of fun hanging with Sean, and yeah, I'm super excited. Pretty Nerdy Crystal, I feel special because I saw it and I'm so excited about it. Yes, I did send photos to a couple people. Crystal has helped me with a bunch of stuff when it comes to my cosplay, so I felt like I had to send it to her. And Noah, 2 upgraded suits for TGE. Speaking of TGE, the weekend at the end of the month, Toronto Game Expo, March 29th and 30th at the exhibition grounds in Toronto. I will be there. I will be there for the 29th and the 30th because I am a guest. I am a cosplay guest at the con, and I'm super excited because I am surrounded by so many cool cosplayers. Freakish Workshop will be there. Saphira Cosplay will be there. The Geeks & Co. will be there, and a whole lot more. Check out their Instagram. It is going, Bree as well. Alex and Bree, my buddies, will be there. It is going to be such a fun weekend. I'm so excited to be there. I will be bringing Gambit, and I will also be bringing my debuting cosplay, which is Chell from Portal. I have been working on the gun. The gun now lights up, so I have to put all that together, and then we have to finish the boots in the next couple weeks, and we will have Chell ready to go. Oh, it's going to be a fun month. 2 cons already down the hatch. 12 more to go after this month. I cannot believe I'm doing 12 cons. But yeah, so Toronto Game Expo, 29th and 30th of March. On the Saturday, the 29th at 2:30 on the main stage, Freakish Workshop and I will be there. We will be up on stage, and we will be talking about cosplaying with EVA foam, what it's like, how to start, what materials you should get, what supplies, and a whole lot more. So make sure you're there at least on the Saturday, hopefully both days. Also, the Geeks & Co. are doing an after party, I believe at Hotel X on the Saturday night. It will be a blast there. I will hopefully be stopping by. And yeah, it's going to be a great freaking weekend. So that is it for the news, folks. We're going to hop into the sponsor, and then we're going to hop into the main event, folks. If you're still here, if you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and a whole lot more. And folks, if you're watching this on TikTok, you should hop over to Myers Corp Cosplay on YouTube. That's where we do this every single Monday night. And you should hop over there because I'm talking to people in the chat, and the only way I could talk to you is if you're over there. So Corp Cosplay on YouTube, hop into the chat, start asking questions, because we're about to talk about what it's like to volunteer at Comic-Cons. And folks watching on YouTube, you're wondering, who's Mike talking to? We're also live on TikTok because I got people on TikTok that don't know me anywhere else. So I want you guys to jump there, and I want you guys to jump on TikTok, and a whole lot more. We're just all going to be friends. How's that sound? Folks, sponsor, as always, is my lovely and beautiful, amazing wife. Hun, you will always be my sponsor. You know that, and folks, you should know that too, because 93 episodes, she has always been my sponsor. I would not be the person I am without her. I would not have this amazing house, my beautiful family, and a whole lot more. It is a big year for me, and I know she has got my back, and she is supporting me, and that means so much to me that she is helping me get through this year of my own doing, of going to 14 conventions. So, hun, I love you. Thank you so much for being my sponsor. All right, folks, let's jump in to the main event. Let me have a quick swig of H2O. Let's jump into the main event. What's it like being a volunteer at Comic-Con? Well, how do I know that? Well, I've been a volunteer at Comic-Con for over a decade. I have been volunteering at Hamilton Comic-Con in Hamilton, Ontario, and Niagara Falls Comic-Con and Niagara Falls, Ontario, for over a decade. I've been going to cons for 15 years, and after 5 years of doing the Fan Expo Canada run, I love it, but I want to try other cons. I want to see what the rest of the world was showing when it comes to Comic-Cons. The problem is, though, when you do something like Fan Expo Canada, which is a 3 to 4 day event, back in the day it was 3, now it's 4, it's kind of like riding the big roller coaster at the amusement park. You've ridden it, you've done the biggest one, everything else is pretty small. So doing these smaller cons, I like them, but most of the vendors are the same. You know, I could kind of walk through it in a day. So I thought, what's another way to do it? I could volunteer. And honestly, it is one of the best decisions I've ever made. And I don't say that lightly, because I have made so many friends and I've made so many long-lasting relationships with the volunteers and the people that work at these conventions. And it's not just because we all volunteer together. Like, we have truly become a family of people that all volunteer at these conventions. And it really is something that I treasure, because I've always loved the idea of hitting Y's in your world. Like walking down a street and you could either go left, you could go right, and not even realizing that you could make that choice, and you make a choice that if you didn't, it would change everything. Like, if my buddy Tom did not say we should go to Fan Expo 15, 16 years ago, I would not be doing this. I probably would not have this podcast. I definitely would not have that cosplay stuff behind me. I wouldn't know what Fan Expo is. I wouldn't do Comic-Cons probably. But because someone brought me, I am now so involved with all aspects of it. And it's the same with volunteering. If I did not volunteer that first time, I would not have met so many amazing people. I would not have met some of my childhood heroes. And I would be a completely different person. So I've been volunteering for a decade, and it has been super fun, but there are things about volunteering that if you're not in the world of volunteering for Comic-Cons, you may want to volunteer, but you're like, what is it? What do I do? Where do I go? Like, all these things. So I'm going to tell you kind of what my day is like, and then I'm going to tell you what to expect if you want to volunteer, because like I said, I'm going to 14 cons in the Southern Ontario area. And that's just Southern Ontario. If I wanted to travel, I could go to a con every weekend, basically. So if you're living in any area of Canada, US, international, whatever, there's a Comic-Con near you, and you could probably volunteer. So if you want to, you can listen to this, and you can take some tips, and you can be ready for when you start volunteering. So what what is volunteering? Let's start out with the basics and then we'll jump into my day. What is volunteering? Well, volunteering is basically volunteering your time to help run the Comic-Con. And that means several different things. There are several different roles that are needed at Comic-Con. There's not just a volunteer position. There are many positions. We'll go into more of those in the next little bit. And you're basically showing up. You're basically working, volunteering. It's kind of the same thing in this world. And you're basically working through the convention. You may work a full day. You may work a half day. You may work 1 day. You may work 2 days. You may work 3. Whatever. But that's basically what you're doing. You're showing up, you're doing a role, and you're enjoying the convention from a different aspect. And it really is a different aspect. We'll talk a lot more about this a little bit, but the world of attending a convention and the world of volunteering are very different. It's very different, and it's a great way to see how a convention is run from different perspectives. And that's also different perspectives from different roles that you'll be volunteering in. Because I've worked primarily under one position. I've worked other positions back in my early days, but I've pretty much been primarily one area. But because I've been doing it so long, I've been able to witness other areas of the convention. So I got an idea of what everyone kind of runs through because I've seen everybody. So what is required if you want to volunteer? Well, the big thing is show up. It's surprisingly an easy point, but surprisingly it doesn't work all the time. If anybody in the group chat or anybody in the chat is part of our volunteer group and our volunteer family, you are well aware that we will get a list, or the person who's running the volunteers will get a list yay big, and by the time we get to the con, it'll be about yay big. Because those people bail, or those people have emergencies, or those people just flake out and don't care. It happens. It comes with the territory. It happens at every single convention. So showing up is very important. That is numero uno. If you show up, you are halfway there to being our friend. Number 2, act professional. Those are the 2 things you need. Act professional and show up. If you show up, you've done 50%. The second half is the part we see a lot of people struggle with. Because in the end, yes, you're volunteering your time. 100% you're volunteering your time, but you also are kind of representing the convention and kind of representing yourself in the most professional way. Like, this is a job. Like, it really is. I tell people who don't know this world, like, I'm working. Like, when I say I'm going to Comic-Con, there's two types of cons I go to. There's the one I'm cosplaying at, and there's the one I'm volunteering at. One of them, I'm walking around all the time in a costume. The other one, I am basically working. Now, when we say I'm professional, there are different degrees of it. Now, you are working, so, acting professional, acting like you would in a normal job. I mean, I don't want to throw out any specifics. I don't want to throw anybody under the bus because it's not fair to them. But we have run into several volunteers who have absolutely no problem acting very inappropriate if they were in a regular job. Consuming substances while working, showing parts of their body that they probably shouldn't, and just acting very immature. And again, yes, this is Comic-Con and it is fun and, we're all having a great time, but you're working. So you got to act professional. Now, let's jump into my day. We're going to break this down into a full my day, and then I'm going to talk about the specifics of the second day or third day, whatever it is. Alex says, hey, I consume only at the end of the show. Yes, you do. Others haven't, though. And Alex knows who I'm talking about, and I'm not going to say their name. So, first day, I would say we probably get there about 2 hours before the con opens. Now, some volunteers will probably see that and go, why do I have to be there 2 hours? Well, if you just want to show up, do the job, leave, and not really, do a lot, that's fine. You probably don't need to be there 2 hours. But because I've been there longer, I'm obviously friends with the volunteer family and etc. We've worked our way up, and I don't want to say a senior position, but there are certain times where more responsibility is given to us than probably new people who are volunteering. So being there 2 hours early is a benefit, because the big thing is finding out the day of info and the layout of the convention. This is super important for people in my position because I want to know what's changed. There are guests that cancel at the last minute. There are changes to the layout. At Niagara Falls Comic-Con this year, or last year if you were there, you know that the layout of the autograph section changed. They moved everybody into a separate room, which is not what they've done before. So I really needed to get there early, see what that layout was like, and then also find out what has changed on the general floor, because they had certain hallways you couldn't go down. They had certain booths that traditionally weren't in certain areas. So we had to do our due diligence to make sure that we knew these things, because you're going to have people asking questions. And I think that's something that really makes you stand out as a volunteer, is being curious. And that is something you can take over to your actual job as well. Not the going above and beyond thing, I don't think applies. I think it's just being the person who's able to have that extra knowledge. So knowing where the bathrooms are, knowing where certain booths are, like, I'm not saying you gotta know where the whole floor plan is, but hey, my kid's screaming, he wants food. Where's a food booth? Oh, food's over here. Where's the bathrooms? They're over here. Where's the Q&A stage? It's over here. Little things like that will make your convention experience a lot better, and will also make the con better, because, like I said, you're going to have people asking you the most random questions, and you're going to want to answer those. So get there a couple hours early. We first start off at the morning meeting, and the morning meeting is basically the con telling us everything that they know that we need to know. So have important places change. Have important people change. That's a big one. Like I said, celebrities, guests, things that are really big to the con do move around from time to time. And with guests, they do cancel. So we need to know those things, not even just from my standpoint of working in autographs, but also people at the door, people at ticketing, because if they know those things and someone in line is like, man, I'm so happy to be here because so-and-so is going to be here and so-and-so canceled, they can then say, by the way, before you get too excited, so-and-so isn't here. And then maybe they'll be like, oh, maybe I want a refund because I don't want to be here. Not that we don't want them to be here, but it's good to do that, as Alex says in the chat, proactive about those things and have that knowledge if you can get it. So after the meeting, we kind of just go through a tutorial of like, this is what's going on. Then we're sent to our positions. And as I said, there are several positions. I work in the autograph area. I work autograph lines. That is my job. As I've said multiple times on this podcast, when you line up to meet a celebrity, there is a line and then the table where the celebrity is behind. I'm the last person you run into. I am right at the front of the line. I am the last bastion before you meet the celebrity. But there are other positions that you can volunteer for. There are the people that work the front door, making sure that the people lining up are ready and have all the correct information. There are people at ticketing. Those are the people who you will walk up, give your ticket to. They will give you a wristband. They will give you a lanyard, whatever it is. There's also the autograph lines. There are Q&A stages. We need people in the Q&A rooms to make sure that everything's running smooth with the Q&A and the tech is working. You also have people in customer service who are basically the ones that we send people to if we don't know the answer to anything, because they are the ones who are supposed to know everything about the convention. And there's other positions that we could go into, but those are the main ones. So front door, ticketing, autograph, Q&A, customer service. These are all positions that need to be filled. There are, I know a lot of people in the volunteer world look at our position working with celebrities as sort of the bastion. Oh man, Alex is going to kill me. Hang on. as the one that everyone wants. They want to work autographs. Well, autographs is a very special beast, and another special and very important beast is the people that volunteer at the merch tables. Now, I didn't say merch, Alex, because I'm mostly talking about Niagara and Hamilton, and you don't work those booths. Alex is specifically bringing up merch booths because Alex works his balls off at the merch table at the Fan Expo merch table at Fan Expo Canada, as well as several others, including MegaCon and a couple others around the United States. So yes, the people work at the merch booth are super important, and the con would not run properly without people like yourself, Alex. Sorry. So there, as I said, there are many positions, and like I said, the autograph one is kind of the one that everybody wants, but it really does. You have to be a certain individual for the autographs. And I don't mean that as a gatekeeper. 100%. If we could have every volunteer in autographs, we would. Like 100% we would. But it's a different requirement than any other position. So we'll talk about that in a minute. We'll get into that. That's sort of a deep dive. We'll deep into that in a minute. So when we get to autographs, I want to find out where the celebrities are. Because, again, this is knowledge for people. Once the day gets going and the day gets nutty, there's lines all over the place. And it's sometimes hard to go like, where's so-and-so? Where is so-and-so over there? So-and-so over there? That's where the information comes to me when I first get there, and I can go, okay, who's the popular celebrity? They're over there. Good. I'm probably going to get a question about them. Where's the celebrity that I know has a local influence because they're from the Niagara region or they're from Toronto? Oh, they're over there? Cool. Probably going to get people wanting to meet them. So again, being proactive and kind of understanding the area. Probably a very similar situation working the lineups out front, like making sure everyone's lined up properly, making sure that everyone has the right information. Does everyone have a ticket for that day? Does everyone have a ticket? Does everyone have, I don't know, a VIP pass or stuff like that? Those are things you need to understand and you need to be proactive about. So then once we get to there, we kind of figure out who's going to work what lines. And this, again, along with the volunteering, does matter because there are lines that are going to be obviously way more busy than the others. There are the celebrities that are the headliners that are going to be busy all day. There are some that need only one person though. There are some that sadly don't have the fandom that they used to, or they just, they're not giant celebrities and they just need one volunteer. There are some that need two. There are some that need a volunteer at the front of the line where I usually stand, and then someone at the back because their line just keeps getting so big. We need someone at the back sort of to corral everything and make sure everything is lined up properly. And sometimes we even need three, where we've had to break lines and have lines further into maybe another section of the room because they're so big. So kind of getting an understanding of, okay, these guys are going to be popular. Let's put two people on this line. Let's put one person over there. That is super important when we get there because that will dictate where we need volunteers and what's going to be happening, because there are definitely times where we have gone into a con and had a layout of the convention that we're kind of going, for some reason, the two biggest celebrities that we know are going to be continuously busy are right in the middle of the floor. Which, from a layout standpoint, if you don't understand, is a nightmare, because that means when you go further back in the line, you're somehow going to run into a merch booth. Someone who has paid money to sell their thing. And having a major guest in the middle is a giant pain because we can only go so far back, and because there's other celebrities, we can only go so far out. So that's kind of a nightmare situation for us. Preferably, we'd love to have the major ones on the ends because it gives us a little bit extra room. And if we run into a point where they get super long, we can usually break a line and put them at another line somewhere else and sort of have them funnel through. It's not the best, but it works sometimes. So now we are ready. We've got people in volunteer areas. We're kind of lined up, ready to go. Now it's kind of the calm before the storm. We try our best to get ready. So make sure to hit the washroom, make sure that any questions you have are answered, and just kind of chill. By that point, you're usually about half an hour ready before the con starts. And we kind of wait. Usually the VIPs and premium passes and stuff like that get in a little early, so we usually have a small wave of people coming in, and then the big wave comes in with the general public. Doors open, and like I said, the VIP starts, and that's when the lineup usually starts. And I traditionally, because I've been there so many years, I have lots of experience, I'm usually with someone who is going to be very busy. I'm also a giant wrestling fan, so I'm usually with whoever the biggest wrestler is. So you usually get a bunch of people lining up, and we wait. That's kind of what it is. We, as volunteers and as a convention, would love every single guest to be there the minute the doors open. It doesn't happen, though. It never happens that way. We usually have to wait some time before the celebrity gets there. It could be a travel thing. They could be literally coming in that day, and we're just waiting for a flight to arrive. They could have other things that they're doing. They might be doing media or something like that. So wait. And unfortunately, unfortunately, that is where what I said earlier of it, you have to be a certain type of person to be in this role, because this is where you have the best chance of the audience and the crowd getting upset. Because, as I said, some take longer than others. Some are there right when the con opens. Some are several hours. And that becomes a problem when people are waiting. We are waiting as well, but we're kind of working, and we have friends and other volunteers that we can kind of, chit chat with, and we'll maybe get fed some information. So we're kind of working still while we're waiting. These people in line are standing waiting, and that's when they start to get a little grumpy, and I totally understand why. But this is where, if you're not a people person, this is a problem, because they are going to start looking at you for answers. And if you don't have those answers, or you at least don't talk to them and try and make them feel good, you kind of have a big problem, because then they're looking at you going, you don't have any information. This person could show up at, 4 o'clock when the con closes, and then, stuff happens and people get upset. So you definitely want to have the ability to talk to the people and explain to them, if any information what's going on. Like, we were told the celebrity was going to be here at a certain time, and because I've been doing this long enough, I don't need that information all the time. I can at least say, I've been doing this for several years. Most celebrities take an hour or two. I'm not saying they do, but you can say things like that, because I've been doing it long enough. And thankfully, because I've been doing this long enough, there's a lot of, I shouldn't say a lot, there's a few fans that attend the cons that know me because I've been doing this long enough, so they know that I'm not BSing when I say, trust me, they're coming, or something like that. So when the guest arrives, now the fun begins. When the guest arrives, the best thing to do, if you're in my position, and I make sure to do this every single time, if I do not know the handler, and for those who don't know what the handler is the person that either works with the celebrity as a member of their entourage or whatever, or it could be someone from the con. This is another position that you could get bumped up to if you've been doing this long enough. And what I do is I walk right up to the handler, if I know the handler, even if I don't know the handler, and I say, hey, my name's Mike. I'm working your lines for the day at least. If you need anything, I've been doing this for so many years. Let me know. I can do the best I can. Introduce yourselves to the handler. And specifically, I say this because if you introduce yourself to the celebrity has got 10 billion things going on in their heads right now. It's not the right person to talk to, because if the celebrity has a problem, they're going to go to the handler, and the handler's going to deal with whatever the situation is, whether they need something or something's wrong or they're missing something, whatever. They're going to go to the handler. They're not going to go do it themselves. So that's where you have the conversation with the handler, because then you can form that communication line with them. As I said, the handler is sort of, I don't want to say the premium place, but there is a specific type of person that the handler takes care of. Alex says handler is supposed to be the bad guy. Yes, and Alex can say this because when Alex is not working the merch booth, Alex is a handler at some of these conventions. Yes, they are sort of the person that is the buffer between the convention and the celebrity. So that is who I would go to in my position of if there's anything they need to know or they need to communicate anything with me. And by the way, I have been bugged many times to jump to handler. I don't want to do it. I never want to be a handler, and everyone that knows me and knows me from conventions knows I don't want to be a handler because it is the scariest position I can think of. Because if you are with a celebrity that you don't know anything about, or and if you don't know anything about, or they're really slow, you get to sit there and you possibly get to have a conversation with them. And I'm not good with that. I'm good with this. I'm good in a crowd. I am not good talking to somebody that I have no idea what they do. I have no idea what their experience is or anything like that. So I have been asked several times to jump and be on the other side of the table, as I say. And as Alex says, come to the dark side. We have cookies. That's great. Your cookies are not worth me scared, terrified about being in that position. And then the fun begins. The line starts, the celebrity starts signing autographs, taking photos, and etc. In my position specifically, I am going to be telling the guests, like, hey, you're next, you go for it. And I also am probably going to be the one taking selfies. If you go to a Comic-Con, most Comic-Cons nowadays, you can get an autograph from a celebrity. You can also get what's called a table selfie. And that's basically you pull out your phone, take a photo. Well, a lot of people aren't really that great at taking selfies. So I usually, because I do this in social media and stuff, I'll usually volunteer my services of like, hey, why don't you give me the phone? I'll take the photo for you so it's a nice crisp photo. So that kind of comes with the role. And yeah, the whole day you're basically fielding questions, staying upbeat, and just keeping the line moving as best you can. And when the guest takes off and has to leave, whether they're going on lunch, whether going to work a Q&A or something like that, you basically stand around and you monitor the table as best as possible because people like to steal stuff. And you're probably sitting there going, what do they steal? It's usually just blank 8x10s on the table. You would be surprised how many people want to steal blank 8x10s. Why? I don't know, but I've seen it happen many times, and I don't know why people do it. And that's kind of the day. That's pretty much the day. I work a full day. I work from beginning to end. You don't have to. Please don't feel like you have to. I just do it because might as well, and it's fun. But yeah, that's it. And then after, we usually close up the con at the end of the day, and we might go for dinner. We might all just meet up somewhere. It all depends. But that's kind of the day. Like, it's not as scary as I've heard some people think about and talk about of like, well, what happens? I'm like, nothing crazy. Like, it's pretty easy. Alex says, I've had to Google some guests. 90% are great. Only had one complaint about needing space. Yeah, some are like that. So any other day, that's basically the main day. So if we want to now talk about the second day, third day, they're all pretty much the same, except we may start a little later on the second or third day because we kind of know the layout of the land. We're obviously going to have a morning meeting as always, and the morning meetings usually go a little quicker because we've all probably been there from the day before. Maybe if something's changed, if a layout has changed or a guest is canceled again, stuff like that. The big thing, and this is also for people attending Comic-Cons on the last day, whatever the con says as the end time, if the con says it is ending at 5 o'clock, that is when the doors close. That does not mean every celebrity and every vendor is going to be open, willing, and waiting for you to arrive at 4:59. Cons usually start closing up early on the end. Okay? I want to stress this because we've run into this so many times from people attending, people, just volunteering, etc. The con ends early, and that could be the celebrity has to leave early because of a flight. The crowds die down. Like, they honestly die down hours before the con ends. Some stay to the end. Some stay to the absolute end. A funny story, and I think I mentioned this on the podcast. David Prowse, who played Darth Vader in Star Wars, we were at the Warplane Heritage Museum up the mountain in Hamilton, and the celebrities were against the back wall, which was the hangar doors. And it was literally the end of the con, and he was still there at his table signing some autographs. And to help get people out of the space, they opened up the hangar bay doors. And so David's just sitting there, and it's just a table and like parking lot behind him. And I felt kind of bad, but he wanted to stick around and make sure that everybody got their autographs. But it was a really funny visual just seeing the doors open behind him. But yeah, make sure to know that if you're volunteering, you're probably not going to be there till right to the end. We stay because we've been there long enough that we kind of help out, get things cleaned up, and stick around. But yeah, you're probably going to end early. And if you're attending, the guests may end early. So get there ASAP because you don't want to miss out. And that's kind of it for my day. Like, it's really not stressful. It's really not crazy when it comes to what are you doing? Like, you can really tell once you're there for a few hours if you're enjoying it or not. And I really want to stress this. As much as we love having volunteers, 100% in every position, if you're not comfortable, please let us know. Like, if you realize after a few hours, I'm not good being around this many people. I'm not good at small talk. If you're at ticketing, like, this is way too confusing. Let your supervisors know. We totally understand. Like, this is something that not many people normally do, so it's kind of hard to be like, I know I can do this. Like, it's a weird beast that you don't normally do. So if you're not happy and you're not, like, you realize this isn't your space and isn't your thing, we get it. We completely get it. Let us know, and we'll try and figure out if a different position's better or if it's just not your bag. So just want to let everyone know that, because I've seen some people come in and they've tried, and I can tell quickly, like, you're not comfortable, and they stick it out, which I greatly appreciate. But I'm like, dude, I would if I was you, I would be looking for the door. So I always say, like, tell us, because we'll try and figure out something that makes it better for you. So we're at the 57 mark. One quick thing. If you want to volunteer this year, what should you know? Well, we talked about it earlier. You need to be responsible. That is a big thing. You need to be responsible. If you're going to volunteer, bring comfortable shoes. Bring comfortable shoes. Important. Bring water. We can do our best to get you water. Sometimes, though, the venue just doesn't have it. And it happens, and it's frustrating, so bring your own. And Alex, you brought up something I was just about to bring up. If there is someone you like, we can try and move you to their line as long as you don't fan out. Don't fanboy. Please. We get it. We get it. I fanboyed. I get it. We get it. You love these people. You grew up with these people. These are your childhood heroes. They are the same people as you and I. They just got a really fun job. That's the best way for me to explain it. You will realize very quickly that the celebrity drops very quickly when you see them at an autograph table. Like, they're just human beings. So, yeah, please don't fanboy. Please don't, if you're in my position or anywhere near it, please don't be running up to celebrities trying to get autographs. Don't try and get stuff for free. I don't get autographs for free. I'll tell you right now, It is rare that I get an autograph for free. At the cons that I work, we try to ask the celebrities if they will sign our volunteer shirts. I should have brought them up. I literally just moved all of mine upstairs. I've got probably 10 that had autographs on it. But by the way, those shirts are not all autographed by the major celebrities at every convention. It is sometimes, a cast member of a movie that you've never seen. Like, that's your option. Take it or leave it. Like, you're not going to walk into that con, volunteer, and be like, I'm getting every autograph from every celebrity. I'm getting photos with everybody for free. It doesn't happen. And we'll tell you right now, if you try it and we see it, you're probably not coming back. Because we don't want that, because that puts the celebrity in a very awkward position, because they don't understand your role and they don't want to make the convention unhappy. Like, they don't want to be like, I told your staff member to, screw off because they all came and asked for autographs. It's not fair. Alex said again, yeah, bring breath mints, wear deodorant. If you go to Comic-Con, those are two important things. Like, those are things for Comic-Con. That's not even a volunteer thing. The admission to the con and being able to walk around the convention is the only guarantee. That is the only guarantee that you will get if you volunteer. You will be able at some point to walk around the convention. If you're only a half day, you'll have lots of time. If you're a full day, you can probably ask a superior and they will probably be like, yeah, run around for about half hour, look around, see what you need to see. So that's it. That's what it's like to volunteer for a day. Nothing crazy. That's volunteering at Comic-Con. And shower. Andre, again, it's scary that you have to say that, but it's true. It really is true. Yes, shower. It'd be greatly appreciated. I greatly appreciate you guys being here. It means a lot to me. And I appreciate you guys on TikTok. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. If you did, hop over to YouTube, Myers Corp Cosplay on YouTube. That's where we're live every single week. And if you hop there, you can join the chat. And you can watch the show later on Cosplay. Next week, we are going to do an episode. We're talking about Toronto Comic Con. I will be there on the Sunday. It will probably not be a long episode because I'm only there for one day, but we're definitely going to be talking about that because I will be bringing Gambit out. Why do I do these cosplays? Like, and not that I don't like cosplaying, but as I've said to a bunch of people last year, and I've said it even this year, I need to start investing in bikini cosplays because every one of my cosplays has a freaking coat. Like, Ghost Rider, coat. Gambit, coat. Luigi, three layers of clothing. Like, I need to start dressing in bikinis because this is getting way too sweaty. I'm getting really tired of sweating as soon as I put on a cosplay. But anyways, that is it, folks, for Monday Night Nerd. I greatly appreciate you guys tuning in. If you can hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, all those things, it means a lot. We will be back next week to talk about Toronto Comic Con and a whole lot more. I will see you guys very soon on TikTok. Thank you guys for tuning in on YouTube. I will talk to you soon. Take care, folks. Have a great week. See you soon. Hey, thanks for watching Monday Night Nerd. If you enjoyed this content, please hit the subscribe button, like this content, and follow on social media for even more nerdy fun. See you soon.